guys, welcome to this edition of Ask Babs. I'm doing it from the kitchen today because I actually have all the lights and everything set up to do a show. I'm actually doing a show on chili with beans. You guys know I did the spicy chili a while back and that was a big hit. I think I've cooked chili every other day since I've done that video. And so we're doing chili with beans. You'll see it in the next couple of weeks. You know, when we get busy at the shop, sometimes I have to come in here and like do 4 or 5 or 6 shows at a time and just have them edited and lined up ready to go, you know, because I try to release 2 a week. And sometimes I just have to do that in order to stay over there and actually work. Well, today I was lucky or blessed because Josh is working in my place, and you guys take a look. I never know where the clip comes up when I'm doing the side-by-sides, but Josh and Joe is hard at work today, and they released me to come home. Well, actually they sent me home because they wanted me to cook, but they released me to come home, and so I decided if I'm gonna be home, I'm gonna be doing a show. And so I'm doing my Ask Babs. I have my laptop over here just in case, you know, you guys wondered what I'm looking at over here. So the first question comes from A. Lionel Rees, or Rees, R-E-E-S, and this gentleman is so faithful to my show. Thank you so much. And you were so faithful to the children of Belize when we did the charity. They were so blessed for it, and I thank you. And I know that you, if you haven't received a blessing yet, you will receive a blessing off of your giving, okay? So he says, which city in Belize has the lowest cost of living? It's a 3-parter type question, so let me answer them as we go on. Which city in Belize? I had to check with my mom because she goes back so often, she knows. And she says the whole country is kind of expensive. So if you go down south to like Stan Creek and Toledo and Punta Gorda and those places, you're going to pay a lot because they have to drive the products down there. If you go up to the north, it's kind of like the same thing. In the city itself, it's expensive. And so she says any little niche that you can find where you can grow your own stuff, of course, is going to work out way cheaper for you. But basically, to be quite honest, gas in Belize is like $11.80 a gallon. So that will tell you right there that a lot of the things there are expensive. And the cheapest things are like buying food. The little tacos off the street, the tamales, panades, stuff like that. So which city has the best price on vacation property and property in general? This is another part of Lionel's question. My mom says the Keys. They have the most reasonable price properties at the Keys. And the properties are beautiful over there. Of course, you're going to have to deal with the hurricanes because the hurricane's going to hit the Keys first. And basically, even in her neck of the woods where she lives, we grew up in Kings Park and she still lives there. It's kind of expensive back there too to purchase, but the Keys are actually awesome. And you want to know, is Belize safe for expatriates from the USA? It is. Belize is pretty safe. Of course, you have to take precaution like in living in any country. I mean, even here in California, I live in a small town and I lock my cars, lock my door, lock everything. I watch when I'm coming from my car to my door. I'm just always a very cautious person. I'm not paranoid, but just very cautious. So in Belize, you're going to have to know, you know, when you get there, find out what the good neighborhoods are, and just, you know, stay safe. You know, stay safe. So the next question is from Obey Danny, and this person has up a picture of a girl, so I thought she was a girl, but it's a boy. It says, thanks for answering my question, but I'm a boy, but it's okay for the confusion. And her question, or his, sorry, Obey Danny, because you have that picture of that girl, you confuse me. His question is, do you have any recipes passed down in generations? Yes, I would say the cake, like the milk cake, the Belizean milk cake, the black cake, those ones are passed from generations. And I have a stack. I should have had my stack to show you. Maybe I'll go find it and show you guys. But I have a stack in Ziploc bags from my mom's aunt, my grandaunt Grace. And I'll do a book in the future. I'll probably name it like her name or something to give, you know, credit to her. She died in 2008, but she was the one, even though her sister, Aunt Tylene, was the cook, Aunt Grace was the one that was the historian. She wrote everything down in her beautiful handwriting, and I just can see visions of a beautiful book, and I'll maybe keep some of the recipes in her handwriting if I can when I'm doing the book. But those are definitely ones that are passed down. You know, the Johnny cakes, the Creole bread, the Creole bun, all of those are handed down generations, okay? Generations. The next question comes from Pyromaniac X647. Do you know a chef named Francisco Rafael Valdez in San Pedro? No, I don't know that person because I don't live there anymore. And I asked my mom if she would know, and she said no. So, you know, give him a shout out from me if you know this person, you know. Okay, Linda Brown says, how did you meet Joe? And I like these how I met husband stories. Oh my goodness, Linda. I decided to come home and do this Ask Babs without Joe here, because when you ask Joe how he met me and you ask me how I met Joe, it's two conflicting stories, okay? When I first met Joe, he was such an embellisher. Not gonna call him a liar, but he was an embellisher. He likes to tell over the top stories. And that's what he's done with the story of our meeting. He tells this, oh, I don't even want to get into it, what he says, but let me tell you the truth, okay? Because I'm here and I'm going to speak the truth. I met Joe through my aunt Lita. My mom has a sister named Lita, and she lived here in California. When we first came, we stayed with her, and then we got our own place. And she doesn't drive, she still doesn't drive, but she would come over to my mom quite often to get rice puddings and bread puddings and stuff that my mom would make. And one time she wanted to come over, and she didn't want to catch the bus because it was later in the evening. And Joe was friends with Lita and her husband, and Lita's husband Philip used to go to that 1 weekend a month where you go with the army. I forget what's that called, the reserve weekend. And so on that weekend she would never have a ride anywhere, so she called Joe up and she says, would you give me a ride over to my sister's house? She's got some rice pudding. And Joe was just, Joe is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, okay? He had already taken his shower, already was in his bed, and he's like, I don't want to go out there. I already took my shower, I'm clean, I'm in my bed. I don't want no rice pudding. And then she sweetened the pot and said, if you take me to my sister to get that rice pudding, I will introduce you to my niece. And she's really beautiful, and I know you're going to like her. And I was like 2 months away from being 18, no, 1 month away from being 18. And Lita brought Joe over there, unbeknownst to me. And Joe came over, and he was so handsome. I thought he was so handsome. He was buff and into his weightlifting and all that stuff. And basically, I was a nerd, a geek. I don't know what's the proper word for it. I had Coke bottle bottom glasses. I had long flowing hair, way past my butt. And I was a sight to behold, and it wasn't a good one. Okay, I know it. I can confess it. And Joe didn't see anything about me that was attractive. I was young, and I wasn't really ugly, but I was plain. And so he came in and he visited, and he had some rice pudding, and he left. And I really, I can't say, oh my God, I was in love with him, but I liked what he personified, because he was well put together, he was mannerly, he wasn't a thug. And so I asked Lita for his number, and I called him the next day, and we chatted for a little bit, regular stuff. And he said he got off the phone, and he had this image of me when I looked like the only thing I didn't have was buck teeth. And he says, oh God, this girl is so plain looking, but she is so, smart, and she speaks so eloquently and articulately, and, maybe I shouldn't be so judgmental. And so we talked on the phone off and on for about a month. And then when I turned 18, he picked me up from my music lessons, and we sat and we talked in the car. And of course I look better, because I can transform. You guys see me transform when I'm less regular doing the vlog and when I come up here in the kitchen. And I transformed, and I looked okay. And he said, it was more than okay. He says, you actually look good. I was like, what? He says, what happened between this girl and the other one that I met right now? And we started talking, and he was respectful, and he was just really the Joe that you see here. He was funny. He loves to tell over the top stories. And basically he respected that I was so much younger, because he's 9 years older than me. And we waited, and then when I became 20 years old, I got married to him. He was 29. And for the next 27 years, we've had a pretty good life. We've had some roller coasters in the way of things that happened to us. Not in our marriage. We've always been strong, in our marriage. But I suffered a miscarriage in 1995 before I got pregnant with Jada. And I think that kind of shape and form different things about your life. And then my mom went through the cancer, and just a whole lot of things that happened in the family, that he's just been a rock. He's been my pillar, my rock through everything. But that's how we met, through my aunt Lita. And she constantly takes credit for it, because she's just amazed by how long we've lasted. Thank you for asking that question, Linda. And thank goodness Joe is not here to tell a story. Maybe one of these days I'll allow him to tell his embellished story, so you guys could hear his version. Christy Lee says, what general advice would you have for a new mom and wife? Thanks. Christy Lee, I'm the right person to ask that question. When I first got married to Joe, I was so OCD. I was so fixated with making sure there were no cobwebs and no grease and no dirt and no this. And I was killing myself. And a friend that I had at the time, she told me, she said, stop, getting so crazy with making sure the house is neat and clean and everything, all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, because life is so short and you're not going to enjoy what you're supposed to be enjoying. And if you're keeping it clean for the in-laws to come over, so they don't talk, don't worry about it. They won't come over anyways. And if they do come over, so what? They don't live there, and you hear people talk about this is the guest room and this is the guest bathroom. I don't refer to none of my rooms in my house as that, because guests don't pay no bills here. We pay all the bills. So these are our rooms, our bathrooms. We use it up to the fullest. If it gets a little bit dirty, I don't let it get to me. And it took me 2 years. 2 years. I wouldn't want people to walk on the carpet because I'd have the steam cleaner out and just get crazy. And don't train your husband to get hot food every day. I made that mistake every single day. Joe got hot food, and the minute he had to get like a cold sandwich that day because the kids were throwing up from the vaccinations or whatever, and he would just have a conniption because I wanted hot food, I wanted rice. Train your husband for, quick things right off the bat, so when he gets a good home cooked meal, he's gonna appreciate it. And basically, as for new mom, I nursed all 3 of my kids till they were 2 years old. And in that first year, you're nursing quite a bit. I used to be rushing. They're nursing and I'm like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then I said, no, enjoy that moment with the child. Enjoy that bonding moment. And so that's all I can tell you is slow down. Slow down. Don't worry about the house being so dirty. And don't worry about having everything perfect, because life is not tied up with perfect little bows. I see people go through that a lot when they're doing a wedding. They want everything to be perfect. My wedding wasn't perfect. There was a lot of things that happened that went wrong, but you know what? It's stories now to tell, right? So that's the best advice I can give you. I hope I made sense. That's the best advice I can give you is just don't try to be so perfect, because you're never going to be perfect. Just enjoy your baby, because you said new mom, and enjoy your husband. And start training him right from the beginning, because they don't come out of a Cracker Jacks box the way you want them to, okay? Don't tell Joe I said, because I had him trained. You can't break Joe's will. You really can't. But, you train your husband the way you need for him to be, especially with the food, okay? Don't make the mistakes I made. Start cooking all that hot food every day, because they get spoiled. Anyways, Sophia Sutherland, hi. Oh, she says, Mrs. Babs, are you making black fruit cake? Okay, she was just asking if I was going to make black fruit cake for the Christmas season, but I already had a video there with the black fruit cake, so I directed her to the video. And then Lise 910, and we actually spoke through texting, I believe, after she asked me this question, and she wants to know, do I plan a meet and greet? I would absolutely love to do a meet and greet. I'm out here in the Inland Empire. I never say the city where I live because it's small and people know you, and I don't ever want to get stalked. There's 99% good people through YouTube, and of course there's always that one crazy person, and I want my home to be my sanctuary, and so I'm very careful not to say the town that I live in. I don't put it up my Facebook, but I'm in the Inland Empire, which is the broader area. And I've spoken to Lise before through texting, and we are definitely going to try to have to plan some kind of a venue to where we can do a meet and greet, because I would love to see you guys face to face. So yes, we plan to do a meet and greet. I just have to figure out how. And then Felicia Frierson, she says, I like the channel names. Thank you, thank you. I picked the first name based on that poem from Old Mother Hubbard. Remember, she went to the cupboard to fetch her poor doggy a bone, and when she got there, the cupboard was bare. And that's how I picked the name, Bear Pantry Show. Because my cupboard was bare during the recession, and a lot of times even now it's still bare. It has tomato sauce and mustard and maybe some evaporated milk. A lot of times is in that pantry, okay? And she said, do you guys speak Creole at home? Do you have times when you just can't find the right English word and phrase and just use Creole word and phrase to say what you mean? Yes, 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 Felicia. We speak Creole at home. I've just realized, maybe in the past 2 years, that the children don't really speak Creole back to me. I thought they were this whole time, because I speak to them in Creole and they answer me back right away, but they're answering back in English or American. And they certainly understand every word that I tell them. And Jada can speak more Creole than the boys. I don't know when they lost it, because they used to speak it when they were little. And I think I realized that when we were planning for the trip to Belize, I don't really speak it as much. And yes, there are sometimes when only a Creole word will do or a Creole phrase will do, especially when these kids are acting crazy, and you just want to spit it out and say, "What's wrong with these crazy picnic? What's wrong with their crazy picnic?" Then they get crazy. So we speak a lot of Creole. I'm glad I have that as my second language. Remember, first it used to be a dialect, now it's a language. And I would not want to be married to anybody than a Belizean because of the fact that I can just slip right into Creole right away and get it said so fast, because you know Creole is a fast language. Get it said so fast and get it be understood. You know, when you're talking to Americans, you know, you have to like say every word, and you know, and so basically I just love that I have that language. You know, a little bit of Spanish that I learned when I went to school. I know some sign language because Joe is somewhat hearing impaired and we had to learn sign language. We don't use it as much, so we kind of lost it, but we're going to go back and get classes again. But Creole definitely is my first tongue. And when I went into surgery when I was 18 years old and I slipped into a little coma for like 5 hours, when I woke up, you know, that's the first language that came back to me. I kept talking to the people in Creole and then realized that I was talking to them in Creole. And then there was a Jamaican nurse in the room, and she understood me, and she said, you know, I said, why weren't they understanding me? And then she says, you were talking Creole. And so then she told me that usually when people wake up from a coma, they revert back to their first tongue, their first language. So Creole is truly in my heart. It's there. And yes, to answer your question, yes, we speak it all the time, and sometimes there's nothing else, no other words to replace it. Okay, so the next one was from Angie, and she didn't really ask a question right now. Angie is from Australia, and she's like one of the best people that I've met through doing YouTube. She did a poster for my channel the other day that was so awesome. I'll try to show it to you guys. But you know, she just did it of her own accord. She put it all over the internet for me, and I got a lot of subscribers based on that one poster. Angie, I thank you so much for doing that, okay? It was so beautifully done, and it was so thoughtful, and it was just given so freely from her heart. So she was just commenting about different traits that was handed down to us from my parents or grandparents, and I told her that the two most important things was humility and gratitude. And I think Linda answered one of your questions before, and you mentioned that you wonder if humiliation doesn't breed hatred. And I think you kind of misunderstood. It's not for us humans to humiliate the other person. I believe in just love, you know, love everybody. When my kids have done wrong, I've never humiliated them. I hate to see people on the side of the freeway with a sign saying I stole because their mom put them out there because they stole or whatever. I think there's better punishment for the actions that the people did. But I'm saying that if you've ever noticed cocky people in the world, they're cocky for a while, and then suddenly something happens to them that just brings them to their knees, and then that's when they learn humility. And you don't want to wait for them to learn humility. You kind of want to learn it at a very early age. It's taught. It's something that can be taught. I've taught it to my children. It was taught to me. And so basically that's what I was saying to Angie. It's not for you to humiliate somebody. That's what was handed down to me, and I handed it down to my kids. Okay, Linda? So I hope that answers your comment. It wasn't really a question. Linda had a comment. Spitfire 855 says, what is your most favorite thing to cook and eat? Okay, so this has like an A and B answer. If monies are flowing in, you know, jobs are good right now, monies are flowing in, then I want to eat things like the rice and beans and the chicken or steak and potato salad, stuff like that. When it's skinny season or MAGA season, like we say in Belize, then I prefer to have like a piece of salmon and a piece of ripe plantain, not the green one, the ripe one. And Joe will like steam the salmon in some coconut milk for me, and we'll make a tomato sauce with onions and coconut oil, and we'll kind of pour it over the plantain, and that's it. That's it, just the fish and the plantain. There's something about that combination, the sweet plantain, the salt of the tomato sauce, the fish with the onion, and the coconut milk again is sweet. There's something sweet and salt about that dish that just kind of comforts me. And so every now and again when Joe wants to really be romantic, he'll go do that, even if it's not skinny season, and he'll get a real coconut with the coconut water inside, not the coconut water from the can, because I don't like that stuff. And he'll bring that home for me, and I'll have that waiting. And oh my God, that is like heaven for me. It's not even cake and ice cream. It's just that meal right there. I don't know what is so comforting about that meal for me. So I would have to say that's like my favorite thing that, you know, if somebody wanted to put a smile on my face and they would say, okay, what would Barbara like? What would really make her happy? I like a lot of different foods, especially the foods that we make here in the kitchen. But when it comes to like feeling down and you're not well and, you know, mentally drained and everything, and I come home and I see that Joe has that set out for me, that just really excites me, and I just kind of like get teary-eyed and go, you did this for me, you know. And like for Joe, he likes anything to do with rice. I already know if he's working hard and he's coming home, no matter what I've made, even if I made pizza, I better find rice to go with that pizza. So I hope that answers all the questions. Keep them coming, guys. I'm going to try to do it again in the middle of the month. It's kind of a little bit late right now because we have so much work at the shop. We had such a lull between Thanksgiving and Christmas that I was able to stay here and do a lot of the videos. And then suddenly a ton of work came in and we're under the gun because the people ordered their stuff late and they want it right away. You know, for those of you who are self-employed, I'm sure you understand that. And so we're working every day, even Sundays. Joe is so tired. He's so physically and mentally tired. Keep him up in your prayers, all right? But in any case, I'm going to get this edited and uploaded. I love you guys so much for watching the show. Thank you so much for sharing the show with your friends and family. And I'm going to put up that poster that Angie made. And I look forward to next month's session of Ask Babs. Until I see you guys again, take care. Please check out my review channel right here on YouTube. It's called Bear Pantry Talk. Also, check out my vlog channel. It's called Babs Bear Talk.